Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Healthy Planet and Garden of Life Canada. My name is Wendy Haddock Brown. I am with Atrium Innovations. And this evening, we have the amazing Amberlyn Vitale. She has practiced as a certified nutritionist, Ayurvedic clinical consultant, advanced body worker, and yoga therapist since 1996. Much of her practice was in collaboration with functional medicine doctors and other integrated practitioners. Since 2008, she has also produced and written video and educational content for many publications. She has an educational YouTube channel, as well as Instagram and Facebook pages. Amber is passionate about raw material sourcing, label transparency, legitimate certifications, and educating the consumer. She served as national educator for Garden of Life USA for 9 years. In 2020, she and her family of four moved from Brooklyn, New York, to a 25-acre farm in Montana, where they now raise sheep, ducks, chickens, and border collies. This is where Amber now puts theory into practice, remediating the soil, improving plant and animal health, as well as that of her family and community, and discovering the herbs that the land offers for the people living in that ecosystem. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to enter them in either the chat or the Q&A section, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. At this time, I will hand it over to Amber. Thank you so much.
Wendy, thank you. I might have to shorten that. That's kind of a mouthful, but thank you so much for plowing through it. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate being invited back. And yeah, the whole farm bit. I mean, I literally was running around in my grubbies and my farm hat all day. And then I had to spray water in my hair because I remembered that I might have to be on this on video on this webinar. But if we have a poor connection, Wendy, let me know and I'll just knock out the video so that we can just focus on, or if it's not even showing, let me know and I'll just cut that out. And so conflict of interest disclosure, I have none other than I was now hired by Atrium Innovations to do what I know and love, which is educate on Garden of Life products. Why do I like to educate on Garden of Life products? Why did I do it for 9 years? Because of these things. Because Garden of Life uses real third-party verifications and certifications that they earn. And of course, you have to pay for somebody to audit you. Right? You can't, they're not going to do that for free. Where would they get their money to pay their people to do their auditing? That's the case for organic certification, the case for EU organic, the case for Canadian organic. It's the case for non-GMO project, vegan, gluten-free certification organization. It's the case for the Paleo Foundation, kosher. I mean, everybody's got to get paid, right? But only with a third party audit can we trust that someone outside of the company has held us accountable, right? Has held the company accountable, any company that's utilizing these certifications, to make sure they're following through on what they're supposed to follow through on. We all know what kind of a world we live in. We all have certain suspicion that things aren't what they're supposed to be, but this is the best that you can expect at the store level. If you're going to a farmer's market and you can talk to your farmer and your farmer says, hey, come to my farm and take a look at what I'm doing, well, then you're an auditor now, right? You're like a organic independent certifier. And you can do that locally. But when you buy a product that has gone through processing, that is on a shelf, that is coming from all parts of the world into a center where things are mixed and put together in a package and put on your store shelves, you need to know what these verifications mean, what they are, and how that company got them. And so this is what I love about Garden of Life. And this is what I look for in any brand that I want to recommend or that I want to use. You know, and when we talk about plant materials, if you don't see certified organic and non-GMO project verified, you really have to ask yourself why. You really, really do. If you're using a protein powder that can't have both, you've really got to ask why. Okay. And as far as vegan goes, this is the Vegan Action, vegan.org, a vegan action organization that verifies both dietary and philosophical vegan, which means you can't even use any animal parts, even if the animal lives. So example, a D3, which normally comes from lanolin on sheep's wool, like the sheep that I raise, would not be allowed under vegan.org because even though the sheep survived the shearing, the wool is an exploitation of the animal. So this is why certain products can have vegan and certain can't. Gluten-free, we strive for everything to be gluten-free at Garden of Life because we know how much of an issue it is for so many people. And really, with so many foods out there that contain gluten, your protein powder, your greens powder, your herbal supplement, your multivitamin should certainly not need to contain gluten, right? And that's pretty easy in a protein powder. It's a little bit harder in a greens powder when you want to have grass juice powders, and they're coming from wheatgrass or barley grass or rye or oat. And some of those intrinsically, when they go to seed, they contain gluten. Oat doesn't, but it gets field contaminated. But barley, rye, wheat, spelt, camus, they all contain gluten. So the trick with grass juice powders, which we'll see in some of the proteins, is that the grass juice powders, the grass has been harvested before it shoots up a little, spike to produce a seed head, right? So you have to really be watching. And that's one of the things that for our grass juice powders, we really pride ourselves on, and the farmer is very much prides himself on. When we get into animal products like our sport whey protein, we really had to look at what was available, what was out there, what was possible. We'll talk about the truly grass-fed seal in a moment. And then for those of you that are athletic, those of you that have performed in high school, college, professional, or Olympic sports and get routinely tested by blood or urine for performance enhancers or strength enhancers or so on and so forth, or just banned substances, the NSF for sport plus Informed Choice for sport covers 1,500 different banned substances, things that could metabolize. And what I love about that for athletes is that it allows them to take a multivitamin or a protein powder that has extra ingredients in it, some extra vitamin A or D or ashwagandha, and not worry that this is going to somehow show up on a test and flag them for performance enhancement. It's already been put through that test and they know that it's safe for them to take. So if you're an athlete or you have kids that are athletes that you're buying for, that is a great thing to know. So let's start with a little bit about protein in general. And I think we'll go through these, and then I have a really important question for you as a consumer. So we all think about protein helping build muscle mass. Well, if you're sitting at a desk all day and taking protein shakes, it's not going to give you muscles, right? It's just giving you another carbon-based with nitrogen form of calories that your body will use as it particularly needs to and prioritizes. If, though, you are physically engaging muscles more than just your jaw, chewing or talking, your protein, the extra protein you take in goes to helping maintain that muscle mass. And that becomes really important after about 40, or so. But definitely when we look at 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 years old, muscle mass determines bone density. And so don't even just think about it for keeping a beautiful physique. Think about your relatives, people in your family who are worried about bone mass, bone density. If a muscle is not strong enough and doesn't have enough mass, it's not going to pull on the bone enough to tell the bone to keep setting down healthy, strong bone. The matrix won't be laid out because there's no signal of muscle pulling on that bone. So the more you sit, the more muscle you lose. If you have to be in the hospital for a while, like my dad he was about 80 when he had a bout of acute pancreatitis and was on his back in the hospital for 21 days. And he just lost muscle mass like crazy. And then that generation is like, well, I never had to exercise a day in my life. Why should I start now? If you don't exercise, you will not regain that strength. And if you don't have adequate protein, no matter what you do, you won't regain that strength. So these things have to go together, right? Something neat about protein, and for me, I always felt hypoglycemic as a kid, and even still can today as an adult. I'm pretty much more blood sugar balanced as an adult now, but as a kid, it was terrible. And I was really like, I'd stand up and almost pass out. And so protein was always recommended at that time to help keep the blood sugar balanced. Well, it's not that it provides any different number of calories for the body or is necessarily harder to break down. It's that when you have adequate protein, you actually have a different signaling in the body. It signals differently to the receptors in the small intestine. It also helps those people who are trying to not eat as much or not stress eat or not boredom eat, right? Or not eat with cravings, because ghrelin is a hormone that stimulates hunger and protein suppresses that. Protein coming through the digestive tract suppresses that. So you feel more satiated. You don't feel as hungry. There are multiple ways in which the amino acids help to buffer the fluctuations in blood sugar, right? Which means you can say for the purposes of losing or maintaining weight, it staves off hunger, but for the purposes of balancing blood sugar, it acts almost as a buffer and also signaling that helps to maintain a glucose balance. Your body can actually take protein and make sugar. And mine's really good at that. So if I go on a keto diet and I stop eating as many carbs, but I exercise, I'll still find that my blood sugar is higher after I exercise because it will stimulate my body to make sugar out of protein, out of my muscle mass. So, each of us has a different sort of individual biochemistry, but there's certain rules. And when it comes to how much protein you should take in, it's not just about grams of protein, but quality. What is it coming from? What is it combining with? Because in the end of the day, we need specific amino acids to rebuild ourselves, to repair ourselves, to fuel ourselves, to make all of our neurotransmitters, enzymes, hormones, other signaling molecules, peptides. And if we do not have them, then those things won't be made. And no matter how many grams of protein we take in, if it doesn't have the right amino acids or ratios, you will be wasting that protein. So it's really important to understand that not all protein, as it were, is the same. So you can read protein on a supplement facts or nutrition facts panel on the back of your product and think, oh, I'm getting 10 grams of protein in this rice protein powder, but not realizing that rice alone doesn't have all of the amino acids you need in the right ratios to remake everything you need to make in your body. And that is what I really, really need the consumer, you, to understand as you make your choices. And this is where you've probably heard, if you're going to be vegetarian, you have to combine certain types of foods together, like beans and legumes, to get a proper complement of amino acids. Now we know that people who focus only on lean meat, like chicken breast, I will not eat the skin, I will not eat the legs, I won't eat all the fatty bits. If I have a steak, it has to be lean, I won't eat the gristle. We know that those people are actually missing glycine because they're not getting that part of the meat that contains the glycine. So they need to supplement that in some way, either with collagen powder or with a high glycine plant protein. So, even those that eat meat aren't necessarily getting that full complement of amino acids that they need. The real stickler for me with deciding to be an omnivore or an opportunivore, as I often call myself, was immune system functioning, because I played around with different dietary regimens for years and thought that I was being healthy, but I really didn't find my true physical feeling of health until I let go of my idea of whether it should be all plants or, and no meat or no fat or whatever I was trying at any time, and really started to focus on what I was learning in medical school and pre-med about immune system functioning. And I went to some foreign countries that have higher rates of infectious disease and dengue and typhoid and things like that. And I decided to just eat everything that was put in front of me from the indigenous diet, the native diet where I was. And that involved a lot of animal protein and a lot of resistant starches from things like plantains. And I had never felt better in my life. And I stayed very healthy because I ate protein that was easy for my body to utilize. And so we have the luxury today, especially in using protein powders, to choose plant or animal or a combination. We have the luxury to say, I can't wrap my head around exploiting an animal, eating an animal. I understand that. It's not my life, it's not what I do, but I absolutely understand it. And it's usually, for me, my bouts of vegetarianism or veganism were prompted by watching or reading something horrible about factory farming and slaughterhouses, right? Absolutely understand that. But the fact is that we as humans are animals. And when we eat animal protein, it is very easy for our body to take pre-made bits and pieces of that to remake ourselves. It is different to make everything de novo, meaning from scratch, from the plant world. We are not herbivores alone. We don't have four stomachs. We don't have that same gut microbiome as a cow or a deer or a goat or a sheep. And so we're not as good at that. However, there are so many ways to be good at it if you're diligent. I absolutely would not fault you for choosing veganism, vegetarianism. I just would caution, if you are thinking about doing it and haven't researched it heavily, do the research and understand what it is that your body needs and what you will be missing and the best way to get that. And that brings us back to our talk tonight, which is about protein powders, which is a great way to get the amino acids that you need and a lot of the other nutrients that you need. A lot of plant proteins have so many trace minerals from the plants themselves, and that's what's beautiful about them. And so really, if somebody is actually eating a lot of meat and they want a protein supplement, I would put them on a plant protein supplement because I want them to get things from that plant world. And believe me, I'm a plant aficionado. I love my plants on my plate. I love that. But I also eat some animal protein. So how do we digest protein? Whether it is plant or animal, it is all digested the same way. The difference is that most plant proteins come with a lot of carbs as well, and they are digested in different parts of the digestive tract. If you eat a steak and potatoes, though, you're doing the same thing. You're combining heavy protein source with a heavy carb source. And so one of those has to wait, right? The stomach is for the digestion of protein. The mouth starts the digestion of carbohydrates. The stomach with the hydrochloric acid also starts the digestion of fats and makes them ready for lipase enzyme and bile when you reach the small intestine. So if you eat a steak or you eat a bunch of black beans, there are enzymes that need hydrochloric acid to activate them in the stomach. And then there are enzymes released into the small intestine just after the stomach that need the bile salts and the pancreatic juices to activate them. So it is a delicate balance, and it's quite a dance, and it's amazing that it goes right most of the time. But you eat a steak or you eat some black beans, your hydrochloric acid starts being produced in the stomach starts churning that around and literally denaturing that protein source, breaking bonds, releasing energy, breaking it down, making it more easy for when everything leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine for the proteases, which are enzymes released by the pancreas, to break those big proteins into smaller chains of amino acids. Then those smaller chains go to the gut lining. They might be used by the gut, or they might be broken down further by enzymes in the gut lining and allowed into the bloodstream, where they go into general circulation and are used all over the body, okay? There are 9 amino acids that are essential for human nutrition. Essential in nutrition means you have to eat it, you can't make it, okay? So there are 9, 8 in adults, 9 in children. Histidine is conditional. Arginine can be conditional. Sometimes people say 10. So if you're really unhealthy, I would say there are 10 that are essential for human nutrition, because it's better to get them from your diet than to rely on your body to make them. So as I said, if they're tiny, they go into the blood capillaries. This is what a collagen peptide product is ready to do. A steak, a protein powder, these need a little bit more digestion. But almost every protein powder that you'll find on the shelf of your store is going to be easier for your body to digest and break down than a steak or black beans or nuts and seeds, okay, than anything that you would eat. They're actually easier to break down. So for people that are having difficulty digesting, that is where a protein powder can be really helpful. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Protein turnover, your body is constantly breaking down and repairing. In fact, it all starts in utero when you're a fetus, which is a little bit depressing, but you know, the minute you are conceived, you're already dying, you know, but it takes a long time. So there's this constant turnover, and proteins make enzymes, and enzymes are absolutely what prevents premature aging, because they start with our digestion and then they're present at every single chemical reaction that takes place on a cellular level. And all of that keeps our cellular respiration, which is the cell functioning, going, making things and detoxing, making things and detoxing. The production of energy alone is very exhausting for the body. It creates a lot of free radical damage, and your body has to have enzymes in place, utilizing antioxidants and things like that to neutralize the damage done, just like your car engine or your transmission eventually wears down, right? So we want to be supporting that. These are the 9 that are absolutely essential. These first 8 are absolutely essential. Histidine, and then I would add arginine, can be conditionally essential. And so sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't in the list of the essential amino acids. And then these 3 are called branch chain: isoleucine, leucine, and valine. This is what is in a sports product that you use before, during, and after a workout, you know, but certainly after, to go back and help repair muscle fibers immediately post-workout where you did the most damage, okay? These are neat because they never have to, they don't have to go through the liver to go straight to the muscle. So when you have a product for sport, you typically want to see it labeled where it's just screaming at you exactly how many grams of these 3 are available post-workout to go straight to your arms or your chest or your legs or wherever you did the workout that particular day. So that's nutrient timing. If you get this in right at the end of your workout, you're actually repairing and building the muscles you worked out that day. If you take these amino acids or your total protein intake later in the day, it might go wherever it's prioritized. So for people who want to get faster gains on their muscles and their strength, they tend to try to make sure that they have a protein supplement that includes 4 to 5 grams, 5 to 6 grams of these within this hour around the end of their workout. Really important. And so muscle catabolism is where you break down your muscle for amino acids. This can happen when you're fasting. It can happen when you're dieting. You know, even people who do strict keto, who do, maybe you've heard of time restricted eating or intermittent fasting, it is highly recommended that you continue to work out and exercise, because that triggers these enzymes that say, ooh, let's grab some of these and put them in this muscle, right? And so your nutrient timing becomes extremely important. Signaling your body to deposit muscle by exercising becomes extremely important. Or in the absence of consumption of adequate protein, your body might just decide to break down your muscle and steal some things, including trying to make sugar out of your muscle protein if it feels like it's under duress. So we put this chart together several years ago because I just thought it was interesting to compare plant protein, animal protein, and then collagen. And by and large, at least for Garden of Life products, if you're going to buy a plant protein or a whey protein, which is animal, it's that fraction of milk that's left over after making yogurt or cheese, you are getting the very closest approximation to complete protein that we can produce in a supplement. We are very careful about making sure that these are pretty balanced, okay, that you're getting adequate isoleucine, leucine, and valine especially is important. And comparing the sport products, the sport plant and the sport whey, is a great way to look at it, because both of them are focused on having 5 to 6 grams of those branch chain amino acids in the total serving of that product. Here, notice we broke it down to per gram of protein, how many milligrams of each amino acid are present. Now, collagen peptides, which we'll go into in a moment, is never a complete protein. You cannot survive on peptides alone. You should not count your 10 or 20 grams of collagen peptides toward your total protein needs for the day. It lays on top of your protein needs for the day, just like skin lays on top of a chicken breast or a chicken thigh, just like gristle wraps itself around a steak, okay? Just like, bone marrow cooked into a soup is taken at a different time of the week than the rest of the animal. Collagen peptides are a part of the whole animal and they bring their extra contribution, but you can't eat that alone and you can't eat the lean meat alone by itself either. So a few things that I think were interesting. Glutamine, glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is what it reduces as in the testing for amino acids. And so that is what is listed. But in the actual plant protein, the whey protein, a steak, some black beans, whatever, glutamine and glutamic acid, they are coexisting. So this is a great place where you can see that the complete protein tends to have per gram more glutamine than a collagen peptide does, okay? But glycine, man, this is where you go to your collagen, right? Glycine, proline, and then things that don't exist in your plant and whey proteins, hydroxyproline and hydroxylysine. Those are present in the collagen. They're present in the skin, the bones, okay, the cartilage. Looking at your branch chain amino acids, isoleucine here, leucine, and then valine all the way down here. You're looking at fairly, not completely equivalent. It's not as high in the plant as in the whey. It's why you have to consume more plant protein than you do whey protein in total. 30 grams is the recommended serving of plant protein and 24 of whey. And so that gets you to where these become more equivalent. But you really see how low collagen peptides are in the isoleucine, leucine, and valine. There's like a third, a quarter, an eighth in some cases of what is available in the complete plant proteins that are geared toward muscle replenishment. So right here, looking at branch chain amino acids, you can see that you will not survive on collagen peptides alone, and you should not. Threonine is a great one. It's really present in animal proteins. So is tryptophan, and not so present in plant proteins. But again, tryptophan is non-existent in collagen peptides. So is cysteine, non-existent. Methionine is close to non-existent, and so is histidine in collagen peptides. But you will find them well represented in plant and animal proteins. Now, glycine is higher in plant than in lean animal proteins. I think that's important to notice, but it's especially high in collagen. So in animal world, you go to collagen for your glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Between your animal and plant proteins for your grams of protein per day, you actually get more glycine from plant. Coming down here to proline, it's pretty equivalent. And then hydroxyproline isn't even present in these types of protein powders, okay? So this is just interesting comparison. I think it's just a great way to help us. If you were not particularly adamant about being plant protein focused or animal protein focused, we might look at this chart and help you figure out what you need. The collagen peptides are in addition to. All right. And so collagen is the glue. It's the glue that holds us together. If you dissolved all of your muscle protein, you would literally still look like you because of the collagen structures. And there are multiple types of collagen made in our body for different purposes, but all of them are rich in the same amino acids. They just happen to go together slightly differently, depending upon whether we're making a tendon or a ligament, cartilage, a disc in between the vertebra, the cornea of the eyeball, your skin, your hair, your nails, your blood vessel lining, your gut lining. These are different things that are collagenous structures. And it is really, one of the biggest signs of aging is the collagen fibrils not cross-linking properly. So collagen and elastin play a role in making this cross-linking. Elastin is at the center, and the collagen fibers have to be complete, and they break down as we age. They look like this. They're not fully formed, and there might not be elastin to hold them together. This is what changes the way that skin looks. It also changes the way that fat appears beneath the surface of the skin. And then keratin is what keeps a coating on the skin and on the hair and the nails and keeps them protected and keeps moisture in. And so these two things work together to make us look like we are aging. It also means that a wound won't heal as well when you don't have proper cross-linking here. It's much harder. You've seen it if you're older or you have an older person in your life, how much longer it takes for a scratch to heal, to scab over, to stop bleeding or oozing, for a surgery to the stitches to be repaired and be removable, how delicate the skin can be, how easily someone is bruised or scraped or cut, how the skin can be papery, how it's hard when you pinch it, it doesn't bounce back as easily. That's the elasticity of it. So all of that is a outward sign that there are a lot of things going wrong inside the body, because if we can see it in our skin, hair, and nails, imagine what's happening to your extremely important structures your body cares about, such as your heart valves, your blood vessel linings, right? Your gut lining, the discs between your vertebrae, the meniscus and the discs of cartilage in between your joints, right? So these things are much more important to your functionality. Your body really doesn't care about hair, skin, and nails, but this is why collagen has become so popular, because we figure if we supplement higher amounts of it, you can get around to all the things you have to do and the things you want to do as well. So giving a higher supplementation. And our culture in North America, Canada, and the US both isn't that big on eating the rest of the animal. Whereas you look at South America, Central America, also all of Latin America, you look at Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, you look at Asia, Southeast Asia, the use of the whole animal is ubiquitous. And in doing so, making broths, people get the rest of these nutrients. And so, your longest living cultures will use animal bones to make broths and then put tons of plant material in that broth. And so they're having that combination of the plant proteins and starches and plant compounds and phytonutrients, along with the nutrients left over from the small amounts of animal protein that they do eat. That is pretty much the live 100 years balance, okay? We never find collagen in plants. Do not be fooled. If you see something that says plant collagen, look for the tiny letters that say builder. Plant compounds help us make collagen because they fuel the enzymes that help us convert amino acids to what is needed to make collagen, but plants don't have collagen. That is so important to remember. And for those of you that are weightlifter, bodybuilder, working out, and you only eat lean chicken breast, lean fish fillets, lean steaks, bison meat, you are missing high glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline amino acids. Okay, so it's important to look at that. And so even if we're looking at type 2, type 4, type 5, 10, whatever of collagen, we're always going to see high levels of glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. How they are linked together and what else they are linked to varies according to whether your collagen is skin collagen, ligament collagen, joint collagen, bone collagen. And so there is why you see fish peptides, why you see cow peptides, why you see chicken peptides, right? And every brand is going to say ours is better for XYZ reason. There's no reason to have a multi-type of collagen. Type 1 and 3 coming from bovine is adequate. You could do all type 2 from chicken collagen. You could take your Sunday chicken carcass and cook it into a broth every single week with apple cider vinegar to really break all that down. That will be adequate. It doesn't it's not about which animal it comes from. It is about the amount, the cleanliness of sourcing, the quality. Okay. So it really doesn't matter where you get those amino acids from. You're getting collagen building amino acids. So if you have access to clean bovine peptides, why would you not do that? If you prefer marine peptides, they're coming from fish leftovers, it works just as well. I really don't think that there are studies that can prove that at the 10 and 20 gram collagen peptide level, that it's any different from cow versus fish versus chicken. In fact, the best studies, the best results, it came from pigs. And you're not going to see that in our health food stores. And there's no way you're going to get a certification on it at this juncture because there's just so much murkiness in that supply chain. You see that in Asia more, you'll see it in specialty peptide products, but you won't see a 20 gram collagen peptide blend that came from pigs. But if you have pigs, or you know a farmer that raises pigs, take those bones, take those hooves, cook that down. It's very, very good for you. So helping you choose which one you need. Who are you? What do you need? And I'm not there with you. You can't have Amber in your pocket to help you choose every time you're standing in front of the protein aisle. So definitely engage the staff of Healthy Planet when you go in there to help you figure out what you need. Now, let's just start with working out. That's easy. If you're supporting workout recovery, if you're an athlete, you want to find a product that screams the amount of branched chain amino acids. And so we'll look at the Sport Whey, the Sport Plant. They say it right on the front, 5.5 or 6 grams of branched chain amino acids. So that just calls out to you because after your workout, you need that to go to the muscles, right? If you're a weekend warrior, maybe you need a little recovery stuff in there, some turmeric, right? Because you overdid it on the weekend and you're back to your desk during the week. If you're a student, maybe you need something that's more of a whole meal, has some vitamins and minerals in it. If you're a busy on the go mom, maybe you need something that provides you 100 calorie as a snack, gives you that protein, staves off hunger, balances your blood sugar, and gets you to making a healthy meal for your family. I definitely experienced that. We have stores here in the US called Trader Joe's. I don't know if you have them in Canada. I'd be scooping up my kids I'd leave work, scoop up my kids, run to Trader Joe's, grab some food, be running home to be starving, right? Running home to make dinner. And I would get that container of chocolate covered almonds. And I would have this moment when I'm putting the groceries in the back of the car. Should I bring the chocolate covered almonds in the front of the car with me or not? I can control myself. Never can control yourself because when you're that hungry and you're that stressed, you're going to eat what you shouldn't eat. And I know chocolate covered almonds aren't the worst thing, but it is a sugar bomb, right? If I had had in my hand a protein shake and we're drinking that, my stomach would not feel like consuming 4 hands full of chocolate covered almonds, right? And I would be leaving them in the back and my blood sugar would be balanced. So these are tools. That is how we use them. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to maintain weight that you already lost? These are all the considerations. Are you only going to put it in a shaker cup with water? Or are you going to add a bunch of other things to it? And do you have a blender, right? So convenience, are you doing it at the gym in water? Are you doing it at your desk in water? Or are you somebody who has the blender right there and you're adding kale and bananas and, soaked cashews and dates and almonds and all that kind of stuff. And then you get down to joints and mobility, hair, skin, and nails, and all the stuff inside that you can't see. Now we're talking about collagen peptides for sure. So in our plant proteins with Garden of Life, everything is dual certified. And that is something you can count on. And why is that important? The first 95% of the weight of any product is under this seal. So 95% or more of the weight of that product must be ingredients that are third-party certified by independent organic certifiers. The paperwork has been submitted to the USDA and they got this seal. But there is this 5%, and it can't be just anything. It has to be stuff that is allowed by the National Organics Program. So it's not crazy, Ray, but it involves things like flavors, digestive enzymes, vitamins and minerals, certain colors maybe that make it look a certain way, maybe there's another herbal in there that was extracted a certain way. This is why non-GMO project can be very important. Non-GMO project alone does not mean organic. So if you see a plant protein and it has this, that's great, but it doesn't mean that there were no pesticides used. Okay, that I want to be very clear about. But when you have an organic product that also has this, it means that flavors were extracted with an alcohol that was not made from genetically modified corn. It means that enzymes that are in there were made in a fermentation medium that didn't use genetically modified corn and beet and soy as the fuel for that fermentation medium, nor are there vitamins and minerals that were produced that way. It means that if you have a turmeric extract in there for recovery, it wasn't extracted with corn ethanol made from genetically modified corn. So these are little things that these people may not catch because they're in that 5% of allowables. While these people, they always catch it, and they make a better world agriculturally, not just about the product you're holding in your hand, but about agriculture. So our plant proteins are almost entirely based on pea protein now. Peas, do not buy a protein powder that is not made with organic peas, because peas are grown in between genetically modified crops, okay? So they're the cover crop. So they're in ground that's been sprayed with glyphosate if they are not certified organic. Peas themselves are not genetically modified, but they are used as a cover crop all over the place and have been ubiquitous in the market. Modern grinding and soaking and centrifugation techniques have made pea protein much more flavorful, much easier to blend, higher protein content, lower starch content. And now we actually have sources that are entirely certified organic. So this has been great. It's actually our biggest domestic product at Garden of Life, coming out of both Alberta, Canada, and Iowa in the United States. Conventional pea is a lot cheaper, about a third of the price. There's a lot less of organic peas. You have to leave them in the field to dry. You can't spray them with a fungicide, so they have to dry outside, which means you have to really watch the weather. You really have to watch the pests. You can't just harvest them green, bring them in and spray them with a fungicide, right? You can't spray them with insecticide. So it is just more difficult. And so when we're talking about peas or beans of any kind, or grains or nuts or seeds, they are all storage proteins. They are all seeds. So legumes, beans, right? Grains, nuts, and seeds are all seeds of that plant to start a new life. And as such, Mother Nature gives them a protective coating out of phytates, oxalates, protease inhibitors, all of these things to prevent them from being overconsumed so that enough seeds survive to perpetuate the plant. Plant can't get up and walk away, can't run away, can't claw someone's eyes out. It can put off a poison, but plants that we would eat and that cows would eat and sheep would eat, they need to have a way to protect themselves from being overly eaten or being digested once they are eaten. So a lot of seeds, a lot of nuts, these things will go right through an animal, including us, and be deposited somewhere else for growing, right? And this is what happens with horses and cows and sheep as they spread those seeds throughout the field or onto other fields. So it is very important to trick those seeds into releasing their inhibitors of nutrition and of digestion. So soaking is the minimum necessary to make a protein powder out of plant proteins that is truly digestible and utilizable by the body. And Garden of Life has known that from the beginning. So everything has been soaked at a minimum. Many things are also sprouted, and even the pea protein is often soaked, sprouted, and fermented as well. That is the gold standard, using lactic acid producing bacteria and naturally occurring bacteria to ferment that pea sludge into something that is even more accessible and utilizable by the body, right? Additionally, a lot of people worry about lectins in legume rich, and even plant rich powders. There are lectins in so many things that we should be eating, so many things that are healthy for us. They can be a problem if your body is inflamed. So gluten is a lectin, casein is a lectin. So there are many things that we try to avoid that are lectins, but I do not like avoiding carrots, zucchini, melon, grapes, cherries, raspberries, blackberries, garlic, or mushrooms, right? These are things I want to eat. So how do we, get around that? A lot of your leafy greens need to be wilted or treated with acid, apple cider vinegar, or a lime. When I juice greens out of my garden, I juice a lemon or a lime in there too, to make the nutrients more available. Cooking, fermenting, all of these help to reduce these lectins, also phytates and oxalates. So know how to treat your plant sources to make them more digestible and utilizable by you, but know that in your plant protein supplements, that work has been done for you. And that's what makes them much more digestible, actually, than going out and eating food. I still advocate that you make a meal. I think that's really important. But as far as having digestive difficulties, struggles with digesting food, struggles with blood sugar, struggles with getting nutrients and absorbing them, protein powders can be very, very, very helpful for that, at least for one of your meals or some of your snacks in the day. Many paleo-friendly foods are very high in phytates, very high in oxalates. And so again, cacao beans, they should be fermented before they're made into chocolate, right? All of your nuts and seeds should be soaked. Beans have to be soaked, and there you can put lemon juice or asafoetida, which is a Indian spice, or you can put wakame, seaweed, in when you're cooking your beans to help break some of this down, right? When you make hummus and you roll out the garbanzo beans that were soaked really, really long time, you take that hull off. These are things that are supposed to help with digestibility. So very important to know when you're making these foods for yourself, how to treat them. So getting into animal protein, it had to be, these cows have to be eating as good a quality of plant as we would eat, right? That's really important. So we wanted to make sure that the cows that we were sourcing the whey from are getting the best grass possible. So we wound up going with Ireland. Now, Ireland, you've heard of Kerrygold butter. There's also the, oh shoot, I can't remember the other name of it. There's another cheese that I get from Ireland that's really awesome. Organic grass and organic milk and cheese are not a thing in Ireland. There is not a market for it, okay? Because everybody can see the cows and everybody can see what they're eating, and they live on an island, and the island has to be sustained. But there is definitely a lot about not giving hormones to the cows to produce extra milk, but treating them better. So truly grass-fed whey is not only the way the whey is made, but the way that the animals graze as well. And so there's a whole seal, which we'll get to when we get there. And I want you to take a look at that, and I want you to go look it up and see what it means to be truly grass-fed. All right, let's look at the products in plant-based proteins. You have raw organic protein. This is our base, 22 grams per scoop, 4 grams. Here's your branched chain amino acids, no sugar, using a combination of stevia and erythritol to give it sweetness. Or in this line, you have a completely unflavored, unsweetened product as a smoothie base. So this is where you want to go if you don't like already vanilla and chocolate flavored proteins and you want to make your own. If you want to add a banana, if you want to add blueberries, if you want to add some almond butter, this is a great base for you. And this is really our best product in the unflavored, unsweetened category. But if you're just adding it to water or to a plant milk, go with the vanilla or the chocolate, and you'll have an already really delicious flavor. In fact, I would advise that if you are adding these to plant milk, do not use sweetened plant milk. If you're using like hemp or oat milk or rice milk or I love coconut milk is like my favorite, but don't have it be sweetened, because these are already sweetened enough with 0 sugar to, give you the flavor that you would be looking for. That same protein profile of sprouted grain, seeds, and legumes goes into the all-in-one shake. The all-in-one shake also has grass juice powders, fruit and vegetable juice powders, 7 grams of fiber. And if you did 2 scoops, which would be like a meal, you get up to 240 calories, 40 grams of protein, 14 grams of fiber. Add an avocado, you've got your fat, right? Half an avocado, quarter of an avocado. You would be getting your multivitamin and mineral for the day as well. Probiotics and enzymes at Garden of Life are about putting back into your processed food product supplement what would be in your raw living food, live organisms, active enzymes, right? So we always put those back in so that you can digest this very well. Now, the all-in-one shake, even at 1 scoop, is with the fiber, very satiating, with 20 grams of protein. This is great for the student. This is great for the endurance athlete, right? And you have the options of all these flavors, vanilla chai, vanilla, and chocolate, and then a lightly sweetened, no stevia, no erythritol, only about a teaspoon of organic cane sugar, which to me is the best tasting because I like things to taste like I eat them, right? So again, you might use this if you're going to add some other vegetables or fruits or whatnot to it. Raw protein in greens is a standalone. It is a great combination of a few sprouted grains and legumes, so brown rice protein, pea protein, sprouted navy, lentil, and garbanzo, then your kale, spinach, broccoli, carrots, and beets, plus a really good serving of alfalfa juice powder, along with your enzymes and probiotics like we normally do. Again, very low in sugar. This has a really nice mouthfeel. I think it's a very good, just daily, I need a protein drink because I didn't eat lunch, or I need it in between breakfast and lunch, or in between lunch and dinner, grab. And there's really just vanilla and chocolate in these two, in this particular product. And you're getting some of those greens. That's the really good point behind this. It makes you feel good because you're getting the benefits of the alfalfa juice, which is really concentrated, and then spinach, kale, broccoli, carrots, and beets. And when you turn this around and look at the nutrients that are included, notice how many trace minerals, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, selenium, that you're getting as a result of all this wonderful plant material. That's what we love about plant products. Now, Raw Organic Fit is going to be sold based on weight loss, okay? But what I love is that it balances the blood sugar better than any of these, because per scoop, it has the highest protein, and protein suppresses ghrelin, and ghrelin is your hunger hormone, right? So that's already helping you eliminate cravings, and that can help you with weight loss. But it doesn't just suppress hunger. It actually supports blood sugar balance with fiber, with green coffee bean extract, and with ashwagandha. And with good blood sugar balance comes the ability to make better food choices, right? So you're getting satiated with calories and fiber and protein. You're getting supported in using fat for energy from the liver and the rest of the body. You're getting supported in stress management and blood sugar balance with the ashwagandha. And you're getting, just this whole protein shake that actually works really as well for someone who's too thin as for someone who is overweight. It works as well for an endurance athlete as it does for a student. So despite the fact that it says high protein for diet and exercise support, which is better than in the US where it says weight loss, so I love this, its real benefit is that it helps you maintain blood sugar balance, healthy blood sugar, healthy muscle mass, healthy gut motility, and helps you make better food choices by helping you manage your cravings, by managing your stress. So love this stuff. All right, real quick about the whey protein. We started a little bit late, and I'm going to leave some time for Wendy to facilitate some questions. So these cute cows in Ireland, and they have grass to graze on literally all year long. They count it as being 300 days a year grazing on grass because that leaves 65 days as leeway for inclement weather, for calving, being in the barn and giving birth to a calf, for being ill or being kept in the barn for a while on hay while the baby is maybe bonding with the mother. And so these cows, I've seen pictures of them grazing among the ruins, the Celtic and Druidic ruins in Ireland. It's pretty incredible. And there are think over 1,400 farms that are non-GMO project verified now to produce this whey. And you'll see the truly grass-fed seal on butter and on cheese and all kinds of things now in some of your stores. You might even see it there in Healthy Planet. So to make this product for sport, we wanted to put all the information that an athlete would want on the front of it. 24 grams of total protein. 6 of those are branched chain amino acids. There's also 4 grams of glutamine glutamic acid, and you get a probiotic that was researched in physically active people. It is whey protein, mostly isolate, but a little bit of concentrate because that brings some of those immunoglobulins. It is delicious because whey protein flavors more easily than plant. So it's true like vanilla shake, chocolate shake tasting, but a thinner texture. This is probably my favorite. In fact, I wanted to have some before I started this webinar, but I didn't get around to it. But it is a delicious add to water and go. Really easy. And honestly, this is what's weird. If you have digestive problems and things don't digest easily for you, whey protein isolate is probably easier absorbed than our plant proteins. So if you're actually looking for yourself or for somebody who's more elderly, isn't eating a complete diet, wants to have a protein shake, this is probably much more easy for them to digest and utilize even than our plant proteins. Now, it doesn't have added vitamins and minerals, so you may want to look at adding a greens powder to it or something like that. The sport plant, same idea, everything's on the front. Notice that in the whey, you're getting 6 grams of branched chain amino acids in 24 grams of total protein. And in the plant, you're getting 5.5 grams of branched chain amino acids in 30 grams of total protein. So again, this proves my point that you can do it with plant proteins. You can get all the amino acids you need, but you have to consume more total protein in the day to get the same amino acids you would get from animal protein. So I hope that's clear. Know that if your protein requirements are, say, 87 grams of protein a day, that if you are entirely getting plant-based proteins, you may need to up that to really see results, whether it's for cravings, for stress management, for building muscle, for endurance, for repair, whatever it is that you view as your goal. Collagen peptides, this grass-fed collagen peptide from bovine sources is the base for all of our collagen products at Garden of Life. This one is unflavored, and per scoop, you're getting 20 grams. You get all the amino acids we looked at. The thing I want to draw your attention to is the Paleo Foundation seal and the iGen GMO seal together in a supply chain that is really hard to see through. Cow hides go to a clearinghouse. Part of it gets taken for leather. The other part can go into collagen. To be able to make that closed loop enough and shunt some of it off this direction so that the Paleo Foundation can actually look at the herds and say that they actually were 100% grass-fed, forage-fed, and pastured is phenomenal. And you will not easily find a collagen peptide product that can say that. It's easier in marine wild-caught fish to get that paleo seal, very hard with bovine and nearly impossible with chickens. The iGen tests the final product for any presence of GMOs. So those two together work to be the third-party certification on a very difficult supply chain, which is collagen peptides. Now, best of everything are the 2 beauty collagen products, because you're getting per scoop about 12 grams, 11 to 12 grams of collagen, and then you're getting the cofactors from plants, silica from bamboo, biotin from sesbania, and biotin enhanced Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and vitamin C from amla. Also love that in our collagen products, we have Lactobacillus plantarum, which is a histamine degrader. And so for people who have high histamine intolerance and low histamine thresholds, this can really help. And it helps you tolerate collagen products better. So if you're really looking for quick support for hair, skin, and nails, I would highly recommend one of these 2 flavors. If you want to put it in your coffee or your matcha or your golden milk, this is really the way to go. And then find your vitamin C, biotin, and silica support separately. The turmeric collagen is a recovery product. It's also for people trying to improve joint health, relieve pain, improve mobility in the joints. Turmeric alone does this. So there's 50 milligrams of curcuminoids per serving here. And then there is UC2, which in clinical studies helps with pain and mobility, flexibility, extension in the joints. And it is coming from chicken, and it stays in the gut, and it helps your body stop attacking the joint and increasing that inflammation. So these two are working together to stop the inflammation so that the peptides can help rebuild. And the main peptide source for the full 10 grams is the same one we've been talking about from bovine sources. The chicken collagen is a teeny tiny amount. It's a functional nutrient that helps you stop attacking cartilage in the body by interacting with the gut-mediated immune response. It's a delicious flavor. It's awesome to add this to your golden milk because it gives you a sugar-free, gives you more of that turmeric anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effect. Tastes delicious, and it's really good hot. All right. I went over, but I'm going to stay as long as Wendy and Healthy Planet will stick by me. Let's go ahead and answer any questions that you see we need to answer, Wendy.
I just made my view a little bit too small here, but we will get the questions pop back up here. One of the questions was regarding whether or not you would feel that marine collagen is more beneficial than bovine collagen.
Right, and that's kind of what I was trying to say. Is I've looked over the studies, and you can do a study with fish. I've seen studies with marine, meaning from fish, and porcine, meaning from pigs. Okay, this is a study that was done in Asia, and people have this idea that marine collagen is more beneficial. Actually, in the fish to the pig won. And so the person who's going to choose a fish peptide is really going to turn their nose up at porcine peptides, right? But it's very much used in Asia. So I really don't think it matters, because whether it's coming from fish, skin and cartilaginous bone and cartilage in their head casing, or whether it's coming from cowhide or cow bone, or whether it's coming from chicken carcass or skin, they will all have adequate glycine, proline, hydroxyproline, and hydroxylysine. And the hydroxylysine and hydroxyproline is what you cannot get from a plant. And high glycine definitely comes from these animal products. And so you want to choose the best source you have available. We use bovine because we know that Paleo Foundation has vetted the herds and knows they are 100% grazing, grass-fed and forage-fed and pastured. I would otherwise not use it. If you do not have access to that, marine collagen is pretty easy to vet for being entirely wild caught, which is the paleo stipulation. I would not use like a tilapia product, for example, because that's absolutely farmed. What I love about using a marine peptide is you're using what would normally have just been a garbage and a cast off. All peptides are like that, right? Normally would go into a landfill, and you're actually taking it for its residual nutritional quality. Okay, next question.
Just a follow up to that is, if a person does not consume fish regularly, would a fish sourced collagen be useful in helping to round out the diet?
No, because there will be no EFAs in it. And that is what you would be looking for from fish. So again, it doesn't matter where you get your collagen from if you consume no fish in your diet. What you do need if you consume no fish in your diet is some omega-3 supplements from algae or fish.
I think you probably already answered this, but just in case you haven't, an individual asked, can you clarify if collagen powder is a good replacement for a protein powder, or how do they briefly differ?
Absolutely not a replacement for a complete protein powder. And so the best way to get you to remember this is that If you were eating more traditional diet, like whether it was European or Southeast Asian or South American, and you went out in the back, like we can do, got a chicken and you dispatched it and you made, roasted chicken and everybody ate the meat, then the next day, mom or grandma is going to put it in the pot along with feet and cook it all down. And then you're going to have soup for a while out of that. The same with any animal that would have been eaten traditionally. So the collagen comes with the animal protein. And in the plant world, there is no collagen, but there is a lot of glycine, a lot of glutamine in plants, right? And so you can get close with plants, but not all the way. So in a plant protein, it's complete because we've mixed grains, seeds, legumes all together to give you the right amino acid profile. In the animal protein, the whey protein, it's complete because it's coming from the complete aspect of that animal, which is the milk. Collagen peptides are never complete. They're missing, especially those branched chain amino acids, plus cysteine, methionine, and tryptophan. Very low in threonine too. So really, you cannot, if you need 125 grams of protein a day, you cannot count your collagen. Collagen comes on top of that the same way that the skin lays on top of the chicken breast. Okay, that's the best way to remember it. I noticed that somebody asked about vegan collagen products. So if you are entirely plant-based, you need to use the cofactors to collagen production. You absolutely have to have adequate vitamin C. So you need fresh fruits and vegetables or a vitamin C supplement. You need to have lots of antioxidants. Again, fresh fruits and vegetables or an antioxidant supplement. You need to have adequate silica, which whether or not you get that is dependent upon what you like to eat. If you peel your cucumbers, you don't get it. A lot of people don't get it, even if they're very high plant-based. And then biotin, none of us should be deficient in biotin, but we are if we drink a lot of alcohol, if we have very poor gut lining health, and so therefore are not absorbing or utilizing biotin. And if we have a very poor microbiome, a very non-diverse microbiome, which should be making biotin for you, then you probably need biotin. So biotin supplementation comes as a result of poor digestion, alcohol consumption, a damaged gut lining, and a damaged microbiome. So if you can fix those, you don't even need biotin, right? So these are the main cofactors. There are others that help to support it. You just need to make sure you get adequate total protein as a vegan, which is a higher gram protein need than if you were an omnivore. You need a good, I can't even say how much more, maybe 15% more protein as an estimate. Don't hold me to that.
Of course, everyone is individual, but do the basic proteins for seniors differ from that of a general adult?
So with seniors, it's a little bit difficult unless they get into like the healthcare system and can actually do a protein measurement to see how much nitrogen they're losing versus how much they take in. And I wish our elderly population could, because that would tell us if they're actually digesting and absorbing and then utilizing the protein they're eating. But we can pretty much guess that most people as they age have poorer digestion because they have poorer enzyme production. There may be more damage to their gut. They've been exposed to toxins longer. And so their protein need is lower because of less activity potentially, but perhaps higher because of how much they would be able to digest and assimilate in their bodies. So it's loose, and we have to look at their ability to maintain muscle mass. So if they are going to the aqua aerobics class or to the weightlifting class or that kind of a thing, but they're still fatigued, they feel weak, they're not improving their strength, their balance, then they maybe need a protein supplement. Most of our elderly, we give a protein supplement because they want to eat peanut butter and crackers for dinner, right? Instead of actually a meal. So if someone is living alone, if they're tired of cooking for themselves, if they're frugal and they split their senior meal into 2 meals and only eat a little bit, if they seem frail. And remember, for seniors, collagen is very important because collagen gives bones flexibility, not just density. So your mineral matrix is your bone density, but collagen gives it that flexibility and means that the bone won't likely shatter. And you have what kids have, which is bounce, right?
Next question is regarding food sensitivities and the pea proteins. Peas are on this individual's food sensitivity list for avoiding, but they're asking, is there anything done possibly to the processing of the peas that may convert it to be less sensitive?
It's hard to say if you'd be less sensitive to it because it still has the protein in it, and the protein is what an allergen is. And it's sad because years ago, when I was a nutritionist, pea protein and brown rice protein were the two least allergenic things that we used in a protein supplement for people who had multiple food allergies. You may be a victim of that. In other words, you may still been going through stress. You may still have been going through a leaky gut and been given or taken a pea protein, brown rice protein supplement as a low allergen. And that too can then leak in your bloodstream and cause you to set up an allergy to what was previously hypoallergenic. Anything we eat, we can become sensitive or allergic to if our gut is leaky and permeable. So this is why rotating your diet is very important. I think it's my recommendation personally in that case, if you can wrap your head around it and you tolerate it, is a whey protein for that reason. And you may have to find one that's actually completely unflavored and is isolated, because it will have practically no lactose and no casein at all. And casein is typically what people are allergic to in whey. If that doesn't work, you may have to find, for now, a protein supplement that doesn't have any pea protein in it at all.
Just wrapping a few questions in together, would it be beneficial to take the plant proteins or the whey proteins along with collagen? And would you take them at the same time, or would you take them separately?
So, yes, I would take them at the same time, and yes, I would take them separately. But I'll tell you why. No answer is ever easy for me. So if you were eating a meal, you would get it all together. If you have Vietnamese pho soup, right, you're getting it all together. You're getting plants, legumes, collagen, all in one bowl, right? That's how humans have always done it. But if you're buying a collagen peptide product, and this was always the case for collagen, even the old stuff way back, they always said, just take it with water, empty stomach. That will give you the biggest bang for your buck on collagen. So this is why I love the turmeric collagen. This is why I love the beauty collagen, because they're already flavored. You can add them to water. You can take them an hour before bed, and they are used while you're repairing overnight, right? You add a little magnesium to it. That's my secret cocktail. Add a little magnesium to either of these, magnesium powder, and you can even make hyaluronic acid now. So this is a beauty prescription right here. You'll see changes really quickly. Putting a plain peptide in your coffee, it's a long-term solution, right? I mean, I put it in my coffee. I've been doing this for years, and I'm 82 years old now, so it's working great. Now, I've been doing it for years, but it's in with fat, it's in with cream, it's in with butter, right? There's even some fiber in there sometimes. So it's not the same as having it just in water, but I do it regularly, and I've done it for years. So quick solution, empty stomach in water, separate from other proteins. Long-term solution in your shake, in your coffee, right? In your golden milk is still a viable way to do it. So it really depends on what your commitment to it is. If you're getting ready to be in a wedding or, some special event and you want to look great in a month, I would stick to it empty stomach in water and just hit it hard.
A couple of quick product questions here. Is there caffeine in the raw organic fit?
There may be a little in the chocolate flavor, simply because of the cacao. But the green coffee bean extract does not give any caffeine, because it is a organic, decaffeinated green coffee bean that is standardized to chlorogenic acid. So no caffeine in that green coffee bean extract. The only caffeine may be that caffeine family present from the cacao, which we do report on the labels.
Does the turmeric collagen have soy?
No.
Next question is, are there any seed oil powders in the protein powders or all-in-one shake?
No. So great question. No. Well, there may be a little bit of sprouted flaxseed, but nothing significant. Okay. So if it's in there, it's a residue of the seeds that have been sprouted and powdered in the raw protein and the all-in-one shake especially. Okay. The fat that's in the whey protein is from the whey. We don't add anything. So there's no added canola oil. There's no sunflower seed oil, nothing like that. That answers that question. But it brings me to my suggestion, which is if you're using fit or all-in-one as a meal, add some fat, put in a spoonful of coconut oil, some MCTs, a quarter or a half an avocado, put something in there to, now you've got protein, carbohydrates in the form of fiber and fat, and you've got a meal.
Do you have an undenatured whey protein?
There's probably in a whey protein isolate some denaturing that takes place, but it's not that bad. The concentrate is less denatured, but still somewhat denatured. So they are not heated. They go through filtration gently, but they are not heated. So the filtration can cause some denaturing, but there are whole immunoglobulins still in the whey protein. We do not have a unfiltered whey protein. So if you have a herd of cows and you milk them and you make cheese, the most nutritious thing is just that raw whey. But that would be in like a bottle and you'd have to sell it at a local store. So that is, and it's also not very concentrated. It's only a couple grams of protein per bottle. So what happens with this liquid whey is it gets forced through a filter to force out water and concentrate that protein. We only have one pass on that for our whey protein. It's very gently done and not heated. And it concentrates the protein so that when you dry it, per scoop, you're getting more protein. Even our whey protein isolate is not heavily microfiltered, nor is it heated. So it's pretty good. But in the US, we have an organic whey that is all entirely whey concentrate. And that's probably what you're asking about. The sport whey has a small percentage of whey concentrate in it.
Is collagen the same as bone broth, as like what our grandma's chicken bone broth used to be made from?
That's a great question. And here's how you know. So grandma, when she boiled that down, or we do it too, and I'm not a grandma. So we boil down the bones, boil down the carcass, cook it 24 hours. When that cools overnight and you would go in with a spoon and you tap it on top, what happens? It's gelled, right? And so that means it's not fully hydrolyzed. So it's not fully hydrolyzed collagen peptides. It means it's still partly linked and it's forming a gelatin. And to get it liquid again, you have to do what? You have to heat it, right? So collagen peptides are completely denatured to where they do not gel up. And therefore they are more easily digestible and utilizable by more people. Gelatin powder has to be added to something hot. And you probably find that in your health food store. Some people use that, or they use it to make desserts and things like that. That has to be added to hot water before you add it to whatever else you're making. If you want to make your own gummies, for example, you might use that. So your broth is a mix of some peptides in the liquid part, some gelatin in the gelling part, and then other components that will never be in a peptide product, like glucosamine or glycosaminoglycans, or things that come from the cartilage that are helping more to soothe the gut. They stay in the gut. collagen peptides are meant to enter the bloodstream. Bone broth and gelatin stay more in the gut, and what gets in the bloodstream has to be digested more. So collagen peptide powder products are the fast track for a population that has poor digestion compared to our ancestors, where we know those peptides are going to get in the bloodstream and they're going to go to our joints and our brain and other places and help us. The bone broth, that doesn't mean you should throw it out or not take it. That's really good at helping the gut lining and getting other compounds that if your body can break it down, it can utilize. So I just think that people who've never done a lot of bone broth and then jump in with that usually feel like it's really hard to digest, because that thick collagen, native collagen, has to be digested and isn't just going to, your body's not just going to suddenly know what to do with it. If you've had it your whole life, if you grew up in Southeast Asia, my husband's Cambodian, and he can eat that all day long, right? My kids weren't born in Cambodia. They think it's too rich. They think it's not fatty. It's that collagen. It's really hard to digest. So everybody's different. Peptides make it so that really, honestly, peptides make it so that you can have a product that would normally be a savory broth or be from an animal that you don't want to think about it, and you put it in strawberry lemonade flavor, right? You never think about where it comes from, but it's still benefiting from you. And it gives you also that flexibility of usage. I would never add bone broth to my coffee, but being able to put a white powder in my coffee makes it really easy for me. But if I were in Cambodia, I'd eat soup for breakfast, wouldn't I?
Just the last few questions here. We're coming up to the half hour. Would you be able to speak to where pumpkin seed protein would possibly fit in?
So pumpkin seeds are great. They have tons of benefits. The protein will have certain omegas that are really important, omega essential fatty acids, but pumpkin seed alone is not sufficient protein to live on. So this is why, as a company, Garden of Life has always been very careful in their plant proteins to combine multiple sources. Me, if I were going to make my own protein powder at home, I would certainly be going for more seeds, more nuts. I would use specific non-glutinous grains. I'd want some more, ancient grains like quinoa and amaranth and teff and millet. And, I'd want all that in there, but it makes for a very gritty product. And you have to use all those things together to get the proper complete protein. So know that pumpkin seed protein powder is great, but alone it is not sufficient either. No more so than collagen peptides are sufficient. We need to have seeds and nuts and legumes combined with some kind of a grain to give us all of the amino acids that we're looking for to be, having a complete amino acid profile like we were looking at way back here. Okay.
Can the proteins or collagen powders be added to things like baking, pancakes?
Yes, they absolutely can. Know that you will destroy any probiotics that are in it, but so would you if you were using raw goat's milk or yogurt or something like that. You still get the benefits of the protein. So there's a lot of recipes on the Garden of Life website for things like that, adding them to muffins, adding it to cakes, adding it to cookies, making sport cookies, athletic cookies, that are higher in protein and really tasty. So that's definitely, a great way to do that. Taking the whey protein and making popsicles out of it. It's delicious.
And the last question we'll be able to take this evening is just a question regarding support for weight management for an individual working out 3 to 4 times a week. Is there a better choice out of the protein powders from Garden of Life?
So weight management and working out. And so that sounds like fit. That sounds like you're trying to be conscientious about the foods that you choose, not have cravings, but be supported in building muscle mass and suppressing your hunger signals, right? So we come back to Fit because it has these other nutraceuticals in it. Now, Fit is expensive. You know, it's probably about $5 something per serving. But when you look at the cost of that versus a smoothie and what's in it, and buying green coffee bean extracts separately, and buying ashwagandha separately, and buying chromium separately, and then buying your protein supplements separately, it's a great deal. So do realize that when you look at this on the shelf, it's giving you a high protein amount, which will really manage your cravings, good caloric content so that you're not overly hungry after working out, fiber, which is hugely important because it feeds your microbiome, which is going to rebalance so many things in your body. This also has probiotics in it and enzymes in it. And fiber also is satiating, keeps you full longer. And then ashwagandha is helping you manage stress and not over dump sugar into your bloodstream from your liver every time you're stressed, right? And stress is probably the biggest saboteur of our weight management goals, because the minute we get stressed out and we've had a rough day, we feel like we need a reward or consolation for the day that we have, we go back to our old habits, whatever it be, a bag of potato chips, chocolate covered almonds, a pint of ice cream, and we stress eat. And so Raw Fit is there to prevent stress eating. And because of the 28 grams, since you're working out, it would really support that. So I think that's a great solution.
Thank you so much, Amber, and thank you so much to all of you for joining us this evening. A few of you asked about whether or not there are promotions or deals going on at Healthy Planet right now on these products. Amber and I are in education. I don't know exactly what's on special at Healthy Planet right now, but they do always have fantastic deals. And I do know that in August, they will be running a special deal on their points program and Garden of Life. So definitely look out for that. And I would just reach out to them because, like I said, they always have fantastic pricing on our products every day. But if you do have additional questions, or if your question remained unanswered this evening, we did try to get to all of them. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me at webinar@gardenoflifecanada.com. Again, there we are on the screen. Webinar@gardenoflifecanada.com. Again, Amber, thank you for an amazing presentation full of fantastic information. And especially thank you to all of you for sharing the last hour and a half of your evening with us. We so appreciate it. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much.